Welcome back to my channel. In this video, apparently, Billy Napier came out and has said that some freshmen and newcomers, young players, will get even more seem to be getting more playing time in the future. Well, he didn't directly say that in terms of throughout the season, but this week when Florida plays their home opener against Mcneese, he did say that freshman defensive backs will play a larger role. And then here's another article by 24/7 Sports. Let me pause that right there. Uh, that Florida newcomers could see increase in action moving forward. So here's this first article by Graham Hall of Swamp 24/7. He says the Napier freshman defensive backs will play a large role versus Mcneese. The freshmen in the secondary will play a large role Saturday night when the Gators host Mcneese ahead of Florida's season opening contest with Utah. The publication of the Florida's team depth chart revealed the Gators intended to start 7 players in their first seasons with the program. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean they're like true freshmen or whatever, like you would say at Jordan Castell, who started last week against Utah, but just guys who are coming into Florida for the first time. In addition, the Gators listed double-digit first-year Florida players among the second and third string units, indicating the program will soon utilize a high volume of personnel who'd be taking their first snaps at UF. Uh, it verified. Uh, it verified the words of head coach Billy Napier, who a week earlier insisted the team would be comprised of players in their first seasons with the program. Nevertheless, Napier expressed confidence the team was overall improved from a year prior ahead of the 44-year-old's coach debut with Florida. I do think that we're just young, and I think that too deep is made up of rookies or in the NFL they call them rookies, but in college we call them freshmen, rookies or portal players. But I think we've got a very capable group. I think there's some height, length, speed that that's maybe there that wasn't there before. He's talking about last year. Now with the program having completed having competed for the first time in year 2 of the Napier era at Florida, UF has observed how the new pieces begin to fill the areas around the frame of the puzzle after more than 20 first-year players saw the field in various roles during the team's 24-11 loss to Utah. During the SEC's weekly teleconference, Napier detailed the team's usage of players in their inaugural season with the program, and UF's head coach noted the Gators intended to imminent, im, excuse me, I'm struggling with this word, imminently increase the roles of several players. In particular, Napier anticipates the Gators utilizing the team's highly touted signees in the secondary at a higher rate in the weeks to come, starting with the team's home opener Saturday, which against the Mcneese Cowboys. We had a lot of rookies play. Jordan still played a significant number of snaps. A lot of young defensive backs play on special teams. Jakeem Jackson, Dijon Johnson, Sharif Denson will have more of a role this week. Bryce Thornton played on special teams. Castell didn't just see the field; he produced after the Gators were stunned on the opening defensive sequence. The freshman, who started opposite of safety Miguel Mitchell, finished second on the Gators in tackles with 7, including 4 solo tackles. Denson and Jackson each tallied the solo tackle, while Jensen was in on a tackle in his UF debut. Okay, so he assisted on the tackle. Having now got their feet wet at the collegiate level, the freshmen members of Florida secondary are preparing for an increase in usage when the Gators open the season under the lights of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, marking the freshmen's in-game debut in Gainesville after months of anticipation. And the Gators secondary will be in for an unfamiliar challenge in a sense, concerning Mcneese. Excuse me, had head coach Gary Goff, who played under Hal Mummy and the late Mike Leach while at Valdosta State, operates an air raid offense with the Cowboys. Therefore, the week of preparation of importance as Saturday's home opener could pose a unique challenge for the freshmen in the secondary. Each of these guys that kind of comes from that Mummy Leach tree has their own spin on it, and certainly these guys uh, they play a brand of football that's been successful for them in the past, whether it was at Valdosta or McNeese. Napier said there's definitely a commitment to that style of play, and that's what this week of preparation is about. So apparently, Florida's going to be intending on playing more freshmen against McNeese State in the secondary, and also Eugene Wilson, per the Gators Florida depth chart report, which was released yesterday or last night, whenever you saw it. Eugene Wilson has been moved up to be a starter, starting with Caleb Douglas and Ricky Pearsall. So Eugene Wilson is going to be starting and that's just another example of another freshman getting more reps this upcoming week. Well, this is an article by Donovan Kaiser. Number of Florida newcomers in action could increase moving forward. While there's no question that Florida's performance throughout its season opening 24-11 loss to Utah on Thursday left a poor taste in fans' mouth, there were some positives on display, even if somewhat difficult to detect in the game's immediate aftermath. One, in particular, the performance of the team's true freshmen, as well as a handful of transfer newcomers, stood out quite clearly. Leading head coach Billy Napier to commend their effort in post game and continue to praise almost a week later, telling reporters that he anticipated the number of newcomers on the field increasing during the Gators' home opener against Mcneese State on Saturday. I think we played 14 true freshmen in the game, and then we had 8 transfers that were first time players for the University of Florida as well. 22 guys who had never played at UF played in the game last week, and I anticipate that number could increase this week. I think Eugene Wilson, Jordan Castell, Jakeem Jackson, Sharif Denson, there was a number of players um, out there that were playing their first football for the Gators, including the transfers. There's a lot of young players out there that contributed. A few youngsters or transfer newcomers made their presence felt, quite like freshman wideout Eugene, or Trey Wilson as some people call him, whose meteoric rise up Florida's depth chart throughout the fall allowed him to obtain a key reserve role at the outset of the season. And that's kind of big because if Florida fans remember, he was not one of the early enrollees at Florida. Like, he didn't arrive at Florida until in the summer, where everybody else had a few months ahead of preparation ahead of him. So the fact that he's able to rise up this quickly shows the kind of talent that he has. The former four-star prospect accounted for 33 yards on 3 touches throughout the contest and put his elite athleticism and speed on display. Yeah, I know. I think we observed him in the practice setting. He proved to be a really good competitor on game day. There's no doubt he's really unique with the ball. We got to get it to him. He's capable, and I think he'll be out there running around for the Gators in the future for sure. Wilson was far from the only one who stood out despite Florida's ugly loss. True freshman edge rushers T.J. Searcy and Kelby Collins applied solid pressure on Utah's quarterbacks when given the opportunity and finished the game with 4 total tackles between them. True freshman safety Jordan Castell contributed to recording 7 total tackles, which ranked second on the team behind only sophomore linebacker Shamar James. I'm a if you've heard me do if you watched a few of my Gator videos, you know I'm a big fan of Shamar James. So I'm not surprised that Shamar James would stood out the way that he did. Luke Wilson, Castell was like Wilson, excuse me, like Wilson. Castell was among Florida's rapid risers in the preseason and earned a starter designation on the Gators' first depth chart of the year, a role he expected to reprise in Week 2 against Mcneese. I kind of talked to him before the game. Florida junior corner Jason Marshall said he was kind of anxious and things like that. Marshall said, I just told him to calm down. You've been playing football for a long time. Just go out there and play ball. Florida's youth could be critical in the secondaries, in its secondary at large moving forward. In addition to Castell, freshman Bryce Thornton made his collegiate debut on special teams, while freshman cornerbacks Jakeem Jackson, Dizon Johnson, and Sharif Denson debuted on defense. Napier singled out the aforementioned corners during his Wednesday press conference, saying that each will earn more playing time this week. Florida's returning defenders have spoken highly of their younger teammates, stating that their presence has improved the unit's overall depth. It will definitely give some guys some breathers on the sidelines, keep fresh legs, James said. Even the guys that we saw in there, there's some dudes. They can make plays on the field. During this long season, we need guys like that to rotate in. Napier said the best way to bring his youngest players and newcomers up to speed is by giving them opportunities on the football field. That will certainly continue against Mcneese State. And it's not just important for the young players for Florida to grow and get opportunities on the field. It's also showing this elite class. Remember, this elite class that Florida is trying to keep together to bring in next year. You also need to show these recruits that, hey, if you ball out, if you show up in practice and you show out and you do great, you can get on the field early like these guys are getting. So I think that's also and it can also show the recruits that, hey, here we do a good job of developing our guys, because look how easily these freshmen are getting on the field and producing for us, and we're only 1 year in. So imagine where they'll be at in year 2, year 3, and imagine where you could be at in year 2, year 3 playing for us. We have a lot of players that will continue to get better as they gain experience, Napier said, and he's absolutely right. You can only experience is the best teacher of them all, and you can only get better by getting the reps that you need. So I'm actually kind of excited about the fact that Florida's freshmen will get some more reps. I'm excited to see more Eugene Wilson. I want to see Jordan Castell's progression as a starter in the secondary throughout the season. I want to see Kelby Collins and TJ Searcy come in as rotational guys on passing situations and on third downs come in and you know give a nice pop to the pass rush. I want to see that. I want to see more of a commitment to the run game, and hopefully that includes Trayon Webb getting some reps as well, getting some carries as well. But of course, I mean, not that you're going to start him over Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson because you shouldn't, because those guys are your two best running backs. But just the fact that the freshmen are going to get more reps on the field and going to get more playing time to build for the future, to me, that is a good sign that you know what Napier realizes that you know what maybe now is not the time to wait so long until the end of the year to make sure that these guys to see where these guys are at. Let's put them on the field early, and by the time we're at the end of the year, we'll have a much better answer about the guys that we can rely on for next year as well. So uh, I'm going to keep my eye out on this and go Gators.